Okay, here we are. We got a new toy in. This is the DR Stump grinder. It's the premier model. It's got 11.1 foot-pounds of torque, and it is the 6.6 horsepower motor. So it's the bottom of their line. It comes in on a pallet, kind of like that one over there, covered in a box. It's freight shipped, so expect an 18-wheeler to drop this thing off if you pay for that option. Sometimes they do a free promo, which is what we did. It does require some assembly, and I will tell you this right now. I expected it to just be, hook up the bar, the handlebars, and connect some wires, but it is actually a complete nightmare. The manual is crap. The video they show you on YouTube doesn't match the manual, and I'll tell you, it's a pain in the ass. You've got to take this wheel off to put these bars on. There's 2 bolts that go in there. Then they don't want you to tighten this down. They want you to put the wheel back on according to the manual. Then they want you to come over here and take this one off and do the same thing on this side. But this side's more complicated because there's a brake pad that mounts to one of the bolts. And then you've got to do all that business down there, put this back on, and this one's keyed for the brake. So once you get that on, they tell you to go back on this side, which you've already put the wheel back on, and tighten those up. And it's a pain in the butt. So I ended up getting them tightened down without taking the wheel off, but I probably would have been faster had that wheel stayed off and just not been put back on. Then, once you've got that all figured out, you've got to take off, let me get you focused here, you've got to take off this air filter cover, the air filter, 2 screws, 2 nuts, and you got to take off this entire piece. All this right here has to come off in order to attach the throttle cable. And the throttle cable connects in, and according to the manual and the video, it's the furthest left hole, if that makes sense to you. It did not for me, because is it the furthest left hole on this side or on the other side of the nut? So just in case you're wondering, it's the other side of the nut that's beyond the 3 holes that are here. I'm not going to take this off to show you because it's a real pain in the butt. And then the instructions are not very clear, because they call this a throttle lever and this a throttle control lever. And the manual that I have has them labeled as the same thing in the step-by-step instructions. The video says the same thing, but it doesn't show you this being engaged. And you have to engage this in order to have that be tightened properly on the inside. So it's a fiasco, but it fired up, and before I get to the firing up process, okay, so here's your engine, right? I'll get you focused. Alrighty. So the manual states that this back here, a little orange cap, focus, this little orange cap that says oil on the side here, this is supposed to be your oil, drain, and fill, right? Well, if that is the case, what is this one? This says oil on it. When you remove this one, there's a dipstick on there. If you remove the one in the back, it's just a straight plug. But yet, in the manual, it tells you to fill the oil from the back side, and this one has the dipstick. from the factory, I know this one goes here because they've marked with black permanent marker a key, so they knew where to tighten it to. There is nothing like that on the one in the back. And if you read the engine manual, it says you fill it from the front side and not the back side. And that this is the drain plug. So again, what is the purpose of this one? There's not a dipstick on this side. It's just a cut-off plug. Very interesting. So it's confusing. Hopefully, I haven't tested it. I've fired it up, but I haven't tried grinding any stumps with it yet. But hopefully it works and runs properly. I fired it up for about 5 minutes, activated the control throttle here, got everything spinning, just trying to get it a little warmed up and get some lubrication in the motor and everything. We may give it a test run tomorrow morning if I can find a small stump somewhere to practice on. Alright, well, this is the DRPower 11.1 torque stump grinder. It's the Premier. There it is right there, Stump Grinder Premier. So, hopefully you learned something. Alright, on to the next.